Hey, it's Miss Johns. Welcome back to 3D Design in SketchUp. We're going to do our second tutorial with SketchUp, and what we'll do is we'll focus on the toolbar on the right. And so in the first tutorial, we covered just about all of the shapes and tools on the left side, but the right side, this is kind of additional and optional tools. But there are some things over here that are worthwhile. So I'm going to tackle the important ones. So the first one, the fourth one down on my screen is the 3D warehouse. And this is where you download things. I hate to start with this one because you're going to want to just start downloading everything like crazy. So hold yourself back. I'm going to search for soccer ball. Make sure that you then look through all the soccer balls and pick one that looks like something that you might be able to 3D print or put in your 3D design. So some of these are kind of goofy looking, but I like this one back here that looks like an actual legit soccer ball. I'm going to go ahead and click download, and it's going to say, yeah, do you want to import this? It's a large, even it says it's a large model, even though it's a soccer ball. So my warning is these models are hundreds or thousands of lines to get them to look correct. So I'm waiting. There it is. Okay, so it came in. Oh, it is attached to my mouse, but it was way over off to the side. That's kind of weird. So I'm going to try to click to put it at least close to tie. And then see how laggy it is? Now I'm on a screaming fast gaming computer, and this file, it's laggy. So you wouldn't think, I can't even zoom in. I'm done. I'm waiting for it to catch up to me. So, and it's getting this unresponsive page warning. So my point exactly here, these files are crazy. They're massive. And I can't even imagine on a Chromebook or something slower compared to what I've got here. So this ball just, it won't seem to go down. I just want to look at it, right? So what it's doing is redrawing. So my graphics card is a top-of-the-line card, able to handle all kinds of games, but it's amazing that a graphic like this with so many lines. Now, to make it a sphere, there are probably hundreds or thousands of lines to make it a sphere. Now, I lost it. I don't even know where it is, so I'm going to try the Find My Stuff option. Oh, interesting. It zoomed right in, but it acts like that. It acts like that is not... I can't even grab it. So okay, my point exactly. I'm going to just undo that, delete it. It's not normally this laggy. I just don't know what's going on. But this is where you can download Xboxes, couches, trees, and I'm a little bit frustrated that such a small file. Okay, I think I deleted it. Now I'm back to normal speed again. I hate to say it, but I'm fairly tempted to try something else. So 3D Warehouse, let's not do a soccer ball. Let's do a doorknob. So one of the things that is very challenging to design in 3D is a doorknob because of the shape. And so here, I don't know why that soccer ball, but look at this doorknob. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So something was weird about that soccer ball. Way too many lines apparently. But so here's a doorknob that I could put on the side of a door and not have to deal with all of this tricky design work here. So very, very challenging. So 3D Warehouse, super useful, and I'm glad that actually worked. So you can find just about anything. In fact, some of my files are here. I think if I search for me, I'll find some of my files that I uploaded a couple years ago, but some really good cabins that other designers have made, just like architecturally impressive. And so sometimes, this one's great, if you need a little bit of inspiration and know you can't just download other people's work and call it your own. But I do like these cabins, and these files are going to be pretty big too, but I bet they won't be as crazy slow as that soccer ball. Let's find out. It does tell you the size here, by the way, 699 kilobytes. That's a pretty small file, but if you get up here into the megabytes, 1.2 meg, that still is pretty small, you know, once you get into the gigabytes, but I don't think any of these are that big. So these should all come download pretty easily. So I'm going to try this one right here, just to prove that soccer ball was an oddity. So look at this. I can move the cabin around no problem. So yeah, the soccer ball, something was wrong with it, weird with it. This is how it should act. So I can put this cabin in. It's automatically the right size. You can tell because of our tie character right there. So this one has interior, just about, everything inside, which is really, really cool. So maybe inspiration for future designs. I'm going to try to zoom out here. Shingles on the roof. So really cool. Stone on the side. Okay, so that was, you see, I'm even distracted. So the 3D warehouse is fun to play with, but it's I don't know. I use it for little things like doorknobs and things that are challenging to design. I do not download full cabins and houses. What's the point of that? So materials over here. So this is the same thing that comes up when you click on the paint bucket over here. It's the same exact thing. So that's an interesting shape. Materials is exactly the same. And to close these down, by the way, you can either close the whole thing down, open this up so you have these titles. But if you have like materials open, and you can do two things. One is to close it back down that way, or if you have multiple materials, like I'm searching for materials and it brings up all those categories that we've played with before. Colors, look how big the colors one is. Metal. If you start opening these all up, this takes up your whole right side, and you have to scroll. So it's a good idea once you're done with something to go ahead and close that back up again, just by clicking that little, they call it a caret, but that little arrow to close everything back down again, just like that. And then close that. Oh, and no, go away. Close here. So, all right, so that's materials. Next down, these are styles. And looks like we still need to close materials. I want to use styles. So the styles button looks like this. It's two shapes. So look for a column and a kind of a house. It looks like a farmhouse next to a silo. That's what I think. And these are designs. So first, what we need to do is let's go ahead and I don't know if we necessarily need to delete tie, but let's go ahead and just draw a shape. Square, rectangle, or circle, doesn't matter. And just go ahead and make it and pull it up. We just want something to reference as we're going through styles. So click on search or browse, which is the one next to the house. It's a house. It's the symbol for styles with a search with a magnifying glass. And what we want to do is go through each of these. So we've got assorted styles, and just click on them and see what happens. So these are kind of more of an artistic. Some of them are super annoying, but they're cool. They're kind of, sketchy. And so these are just assorted. I think they just take some highlights from these other sets. So we have color sets. I want you to go through and pick a couple per category. So if you pick a colored set, these are a little bit nicer to look at. They just have different colors. And so you notice there's no sky. So none of these that I noticed have any sky. So it's, if you don't mind not having land and sky, then color sets are for you maybe. And I mean, this one's pretty nice looking. So you go through and see if you can find one that you like. Next up, default styles. And these are the ones that are used most often, and they usually have ground and a sky. And there are some interesting ones for sure. see-through, kind of see-through mode. A couple of these we will use. This one is X-ray mode. It allows you to see right through to something. So if there was a cartoon or a floor plan on the bottom, you would be able to see through it as you design on top of it. Otherwise, it would be solid and you wouldn't be able to see through it. So this one right here, the second row, third one over is my favorite. This is green grass, blue sky, and pretty colorful. So I tend to like this one a lot, but I always have that sky in the background. It just kind of helps me know if I'm looking straight that way at the horizon. It gives me an idea of my angle of view. I don't know. It just helps me a little bit. But there are other default styles, all gray. Oh, there is one with no sky. No sky right there. And this one is just kind of gray and blue. So again, go through each one. So I'm going to close that down. Photo modeling. There looks like just 3. Weird. Don't like any of them. Close those down. Sketchy edges. I know there's a lot of people who like these. They are funky. For sure. So we can go through each of those sketchy edges. Weird, right? So just really different. Almost looks like a chalkboard thing on there. So after sketchy edges, we have straight lines. And that's, again, there's some weird ones in there. But so you can kind of see why I go with default styles, third one over, just a little easier to look at. So those are styles. I'm going to close that down. Tags we don't need. Shadows, yes, shadows. So notice there's no shadow on this shape. And if you were an architect, you could actually design a house and place it on a lot in Boise, in SketchUp, and show your clients where the sun will be at different parts of the day. Because some people want the sun to be in the backyard or in the front yard or on the side, and maybe even at a certain time so they can barbecue at 5 o'clock in the summer in August and not have the sun pounding down on you. So you might want the shade in the backyard. So let's play with these over here in the right side. First of all, we want to turn on shadows. Next, we want to click the time zone. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us like Mountain, Eastern, etc., Pacific. So find the time that's as the closest to you. For right now, I'm really close to 4 p.m. So I'm going to try -4, and I don't know if that is, I imagine that's p.m. If I choose +4, I'm thinking that is nighttime. Yep, so there's no shadow, it's nighttime. So I need to go, so negative is p.m., positive is a.m. So for me, I need -4, and it is October 28th. So I'm going to choose that day. How cool that it knows this, right? So 28, I keep getting really close and then missing it. 26, 28, there we go. Whew. Okay, and so that's the date. And then, so I've got the time right, the date right, the time zone right, all that's good. And then this shows us where the shadow would be. So if this were a house, and I'm going to go ahead and select it all. I don't need Ty. He's in my way. I'm going to right click and make it a group so that I could rotate it. So again, if I'm an architect, I want to show the client where do you want the shadow at 4 p.m. in October 28th, right? If you truly want the whole thing in your backyard, it looks like right about there would be ideal. So, you could do that for August, and that's probably what most people would do is say, hey, give me an August 6th date. That's fine. At 5 p.m. So right there, 5 p.m. That's a little early. How about 6? So when we're having a barbecue, see how that completely changed? So this is August in Boise. And so I'm going to click and I'm going to rotate, click, rotate. There we go. Now that tells me that, hey, if we're building a house for you, we want to place your house on your lot right there. facing that direction. It's close. That's good. So the sun is over there. So this is the backyard. And if you're barbecuing and this is your patio back here, it would be nice and shaded. So anyway, that is the shadow setting, and that's the only really real use I can think of. There might be others that I'm overlooking, but it is kind of cool to have those. Also, there are some fog settings, which I do not like. I think fog just makes it look hard to see. So you can adjust the fog to be, I don't know, I think it just makes it partially invisible. I don't understand why you'd even want to have fog. So I turn that off. All right, so those are shadows. Next up, scenes. Under scenes, you've got different camera views, and you can play with those. Perspective view, parallel projection, etc. Also, your standard views. And so if you want to quickly go to top view because you need to make sure you're designing it exactly from top view, this is the fastest way to do it. Instead of trying to scroll and rotate and try to get exactly on the top, which you could do probably, but it's just faster to go to scenes, top view, boom. Absolutely top view. So anything you need to design up here would work. So then you've got front, right, back, west, bottom, and then isometric. So interesting, right? So usually we are just kind of in this view right here. So I just bring it back manually. And you can, play with field of view. Look at this. You can play with a lot of weird, whoa. So that is bizarre, but I just put it right in the middle. So that seems to be the best. Other than that, I think that's all we need to deal with scenes. Display, this stuff is important. You can turn, those of you who have asked, can you turn off the axis lines? Yeah, right there, off. But that's weird. I mean, but if you're trying to take a screenshot of a house or something and you don't want those lines in, that makes sense. So that's when I would do that. Otherwise, I like to keep it there. Guidelines, I don't really see those regardless anyway. So, and I think we're good there so the only really the thing there under display is axes. So, and then next down, smooth and soften. Nope, don't use it. Model information we will use. So, for example, if so your screenshot that's due today is this. I want you to have a rectangle on the screen. I want you to have your favorite style selected, whatever that is. Choose a style that you'll really like a lot. I like default. I'm going to keep that. Okay. And let's see, let's close styles. And then I want you to measure two sides with the dimension tool line of your shape. So that's 11 feet, 3 and 9/16. And let's go bottom to top. So I've got two measurements, 11 feet, 4 and 7/16. Okay, so that is obviously in American, right? English measurement. And so if we go to length units, we can change that. So let's change, first of all, I want you to do your measurements that probably are in inches and feet. And if so, I want you to change it to, well, it's 11 feet. So let's go decimal feet and see what pops up. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to go millimeters. And yeah, just want to show you how many millimeters that is. 3,465.51 millimeters. So I just want you to switch back and forth from what it was and go back to architectural. And if you want to play with some of those other ones, you can. 136 inches and 7/16. 136 and 7/16 of an inch. That's how you would say that. But mostly you're going to use architectural or probably millimeters or centimeters. So you can see that, Americans are used to using feet and inches if it's big. But if it's something small, so let's go ahead and make another shape. and make it small, make it 3D. And then I want you to measure two sides of that. So we're going to use the dimension tool line and just measure any two sides. This is 1 foot by 1 inch. And let me go down here. That's 1 foot exactly. Okay, so interesting that that's a foot and that's 11 feet. So now let's go back and switch it to millimeters. So we are 330.2 millimeters. If we switch that to centimeters, it's 33.02. You can see the similarity there, 33 centimeters. And so for something average sized, smallish, centimeters makes the most sense. For something large, feet and inches makes the most sense to our American brains. And let's make one more right next to this one. And I want you to do a precision measurement with me here. So we're going to go click, let go, drag. Oh, make sure it's flat. There we go. Type in 16 mm, comma, 16 mm, enter. All right. And then I want you to click the push-pull tool, click in the middle, pull up, let go. Type in 16 mm, enter. And then let's use the dimension tool line, and let's do two sides. And let's switch the format to millimeters now. So this is a 16 millimeter cube, 16 by 16 by 16. And I don't like how it's 16,0000. You can also change this here, the precision, like to the, thousandths of a millimeter or whatever. Let's go ahead and just make this 0 millimeters. What that does, it gets rid of all the decimal points after. A millimeter is the width of a hair. So that is close enough. That is accurate enough. So you can also see now on the other measurements. So that is 16 millimeters. This one is 305. And we zoom out even more. And this one now, it's a little just easier to read. 3,466 millimeters, right? So no fractions in decimals. So, okay, also length snapping. So some of you notice that I use, a lot of the times, I use these dots that will snap. They know where to stop. That's called length snapping. So if you turn it off, it doesn't do that for you as easily. And you can choose how accurate you want it to be. In this case, it looks like I'm so small that I can't change it to anything else. So anyway, you may not have to. I'm going to keep length snapping on, but looks like I can't do much with that right here. So everything else is fine. You can't change the font. You can change the style of the dimension line if you want. But I think the only thing here that you really need to be concerned with, this is where you change it from feet to millimeters. Okay, so that's model information. So there we go. All right, so we have three shapes, and one is really big. The first two, I didn't care how big they were. The third one is that guy right there. So interesting. So what we want to do is paint the little guy. So let's paint him. We can either go to material over here. It's the same thing as going to the paint bucket, but this is a lot faster. And what I'd like you to do is paint all 6 sides of your cube a different thing. And you'll notice that some of these patterns are made for something bigger, like over there. It's carpet, I think, right? Look at that. So that's maybe more realistic. When I put it on something so small, it doesn't really work out because it does not change size. Like here's a brick. Watch this. Click. That's like a brick zoomed in. I mean, the brick itself it's even too big for that. And maybe for this big one, it's perfect. See? So you have to know how big you are designing if you need a certain pattern. That brick one almost looks perfect. Now, I don't have Ty standing there. So it may still be a little bit wrong, but You get the point. So what I want you to do is just zoom in. I want you to measure your little guy, your littlest one. Just something different for each side. I think that's the same one I just did. Try to find some that actually work and make sense. I think here's water. This small, it's just going to look kind of dumb, but I want you to do it anyway. So what we want is all 6 sides. Let me zoom in and rotate. So all I have is the bottom one underneath. Don't forget the bottom one. So all 6 sides of your little square, something different. Let's go stone. And you can't even really see it. It's so small. So, okay, so that's good. And then I want you to paint. You're right. I want you to paint the 6 sides of the medium one. Every side has to be a different color or texture. So there's some water. Did I do underneath? Yes. I don't think I did on top yet. And white doesn't count. White's default. So, okay. And then your biggest one, I want you to paint with a texture that'll quickly wrap the whole thing. Okay. And then your screenshot today is this, where I can see all 3 shapes like that, something like that. You're going to have to zoom in so I can see the small one, but I also want to be able to see, I want to say 2 sides of the other 2. So if you need to move, like make it a group and move it, you can do that. Just do what you need to do so that you can give me a screenshot that I can see your 3 shapes drawn, and then send me that screenshot. And that's it for today. Thanks for joining me for this episode, though. Mr. Johns is out.